Hi, we're going to start using the Foursquare vocabulary method for our science vocabulary. And that's the way that we will put all the vocabulary terms in our science notebooks for the rest of the year. So I'm going to show you how to build one of those vocabulary pages. The first thing that you're going to do when you build a vocabulary page is put the title across the page, just like all of the other pages that we make. Our vocabulary title for this one is going to be Energy Vocabulary, because energy is the name of our unit. So across the top of my page, I'm going to write the words Energy Vocabulary. Okay, I'm going to underline that title. And now I'm ready to go. When we say that it's Foursquare vocabulary, that means that we're going to make vocabulary entries using 4 boxes for each vocabulary term. What you'll be able to do is fit 2 of these on each page. So we need to set that page up first with our boxes before we start. Okay, so what we're going to do first to set up our page is we're going to divide it in half this way. So we're going to draw a vertical line down the center of the page in order to divide it. That's the first thing we're going to do. Once we have that, we're going to go the other way and we're going to divide the page in half by drawing a horizontal line. Then we're going to move on and we're just going to draw another horizontal line to divide this section in half. And one more to divide the bottom section in half. Just like that. So the first 4 boxes are going to be for one term and the bottom 4 boxes will be for the next term. I'm going to make this line in the center kind of bold so that it's really obvious that it's a different entry on the top than it is on the bottom. Okay. We are always going to set up our boxes in the same way once we get them drawn on the paper. And we will start by putting numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4 of these boxes are going to be for one science term. We're going to do the same on the bottom because that's the next term. We'll start over with 1. We won't just continue numbering. So every single section is going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now we're set up and we're ready to go. What we're going to do first is make a template on this top so that it can be a guide as you do your vocabulary later on. If you forget what to put in box 1, 2, 3, or 4, you can always go back to this first page and it'll tell you exactly what to do. So we're going to start in box 1. It will always be your vocabulary term. So I'm just going to write vocabulary term right here. Okay? That's what's going to go in box 1 every time. Now we're going to move on to box 2, and that is going to be the definition of that term. You will use your resources, you have many of them, to look up and find the definition for your term, and then you're going to put that definition in your own words. It needs to be in your own words or it will not make sense to you and help you learn that term. Okay, box number 3 will always be a picture that shows us what the term means. And finally, box number 4 will be where you write a sentence using that vocabulary term. If you can use it in a sentence, you're a lot closer to knowing what that word means. And that's all you need to do for your Foursquare vocabulary entries. On the bottom, I'm going to take the first word from our first unit and show you what that looks like when you get it done. So our first word in our energy unit, it's going to be producer. Our definition for producer, I've looked it up and I thought about it and put it in my own words, and I'm going to say that it's an organism that, let's see, takes energy from the sun and uses it as it produces food. Okay. It's an organism that takes energy from the sun and uses it as it produces food. I just put a period here, but I shouldn't have because it's not actually a sentence. So this is not a sentence here. Okay, now I'm going to draw a picture that shows us what producer means. And since all of our energy initially comes from the sun, I'm going to start with the sun. So I'm just going to draw a little sun here. And a producer that produces its own food is actually a plant in most cases. So I'm going to just draw a simple flower. Maybe I'll put some grass, because grass is also a plant. It produces food. And there we go. I have a picture of a producer, and I'm seeing that the energy is coming from the sun. The last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use this term in a sentence, and I'm going to say that producers make food that animals can eat. So producers make food for themselves, but other organisms and other animals cannot do that. So they need to eat food, like that food that's produced from the plants. So, okay. So we have our template and we have our first entry for our first vocabulary unit, and that's how we'll build Foursquare vocabulary for the entire year.